Hi guys, so today I'm going to introduce a bit more about how you can apply and how you can choose which university and program you can study in. Now I see so many students who have no idea about where to study and they're totally lost because their parents or their family or their school, they have no idea about what's going on in China. So here I'm going to introduce to you a framework and how you can choose the perfect program for you. Now it's broken down into 4 different parts and I'm going to go through each part. Now studying in university is one of the most important decisions you're going to make in your whole life. It's going to affect your future, who you're going to meet and what you're going to become. So it's really important to make a good decision. I see so many students who are just making like a super quick decision about where they're going to study. And I also see some students who are so confused, they just don't know because there are so many different options. I'm going to introduce the 4 different ways that you can choose which university to study in. And I really suggest that you can walk through like these 4 different strategies and maybe look at different other ones and look at it from different angles. And then when you have these different perspectives, then you're going to be a lot clearer about where you're going to study. Now the first way to look at it is the program, like which program do you want to study? So this is actually what I did when I was going to choose which university to study in when I was 18 back in UK. Because actually at that time I really wanted to study like many different subjects. I actually have so many interests, so it's quite hard for me to just choose like which program I wanted to study. So that's why I chose to look for courses that were not so specific. I wanted to choose a course that had like a wide range of different subjects. So I chose politics, philosophy, economics and Chinese, and I found this course in a few different universities, and so I applied to those universities based on that. But each of you is going to have your own different ideas about what you want to study. Maybe it's going to be courses that you really enjoy, like what do you actually want to learn in the future and what courses do you want to really get good at? Also, what courses do you really enjoy from your school or from your university? Maybe it's not so important exactly what you study in the future, because a lot of going to university is to just learn how to learn. Maybe if you really like history, or if you really like geography, or if you really like politics or some specific subject, then maybe just choose that subject and then you can really enjoy it and then you can study it. It will just give you some really useful skills that you can use in the future. So on the other hand, there are some students who really know exactly what they want to do in the future. For example, they want to be a doctor. So for you, it's really easy to know because you know, like, I want to be a doctor, I need to study medicine. And so you can just first be really clear about what program you want to study. Now the second strategy of how to decide the program is to look at the university. What kind of university do you want to study in? Do you want to study in a big city or a small city? Do you want to study in like a modern university, or do you want to study in like a more traditional university? Do you have a specific culture or environment that you want to be surrounded by? This is really important to consider because you could choose to study in like a certain place, maybe by the sea if you like surfing, for example, or so maybe you can choose to study in like near the mountains if you have a specific hobby, or if you really like a certain city, like you want to have a really international city, many students choose Shanghai. If you really want to learn Chinese really well, maybe you don't want to choose a really popular city. Maybe you want to go somewhere that's a little bit further away, a little bit more surrounded by Chinese people. And the third thing is, what do you want to do in the future after you graduate? This is really important to think about, like, how do I want my future to be? What kind of life do I want to have in 5 or 10 years? And then you can look at the vision of what you want to do in the future and then work back. So for example, if you want to be like a businesswoman, or if you want to be a businessman, if you want to do a PhD and you want to study like biology, and then you look at, okay, this is where I'm going to go, and then you take the steps back and then you look back, and then it's really clear about what decision you want to make. So where you want to study. So this is another thing, is to think about like, where do you want to go in the future? And many people don't know where they want to go in the future, but it's important to have some kind of plan, because even if it changes, it's okay. Just have some kind of plan is a good idea, and then work backwards. Other ways to look at it is about finances. So it's important to like dream big in the other one, but also you need to be practical about what can you actually afford, and then break down the expenses and which city and what kind of place that you want to study in. So this is another way of looking at it, and it's like really important to look at it from all these different angles about where you want to study. I also really suggest, if you want to work out about the finance, it's really important to have like a complete breakdown of what it's going to cost. Look at what you can afford and what is going to cost, and then you can choose based on what is within your budget. These are the 4 different strategies of how you can choose the university for you. I have another tip, which is you definitely want to speak to as many people as possible about what you want to study in. important. So definitely try and make a list, or try and contact some students. Get some advice from people who have studied in the universities that you want to study in, or who have the career that you want to have, and try and learn from them and get advice from them, instead of just making like a blind decision. Also, you can contact us and we can give you free advice. If you register on the link below, we can arrange a free call for you to help you choose the university and help you through the process. So this is all free. Sometimes there is always a risk in a decision, and sometimes when there's a risk you feel like a little bit anxious because you don't want to make a mistake, because you don't want to lose something. So if you're looking at a decision, like this is a big decision, so you want to be really careful and make the right decision. So you want to look at like, what is the upside of the decision, like what is the positive side, but also make sure to look at what is the negative, what is the downside. And here you want to make sure to minimize the risk. So if you're looking to choose, for example, to study in China, what's the worst situation that can happen? And then also look at what is the best situation that can happen. And just try and make sure to have that framework whenever you make a decision. Actually, for me, when I wanted to choose to study in China, I thought, okay, I'm studying in UK at a university, and the upside is I can go to China and I can learn Chinese and I can learn this language, and it's going to give me huge benefits because I'm going to understand this culture, I'm going to understand a new language, and this is going to give me advantages for any job I want to do. And originally I was just planning to come to China for 6 months and then go back to UK. The downside is probably that, okay, maybe I don't like it. If I don't like it, then 6 months in China, I've just had an experience. I actually couldn't see any downside in that situation, because what's the worst that can happen? Like, there's not really any bad case situation that can happen. If I can study in China, it's going to give me a huge upside. But if I stay where I am, I'm not going to learn as much, because I'm still going to be in the same city and I'm going to be learning like the same courses. So I'm definitely going to grow more by going to China and having a new experience. So this is how I looked at it, and many people kind of may think of China as a risk, may think of like going abroad as a risk. If you think it's a risk, then you can just go for a shorter period of time and then you can experience it, and then if you don't like it, you can just come home, or you can just do something else. So it's not really a risk. So actually we've developed a quiz which can help you to choose the university you want to study in. If you want to find a suggestion about what's your perfect program, then check out the quiz below and it will suggest the courses for you automatically. And also you can register to have a call with us, and we will help to talk you through the process and help you to make the best decision for where you can study in China. And all of this is for free. If you like this video, please let us know in the comments, and we hope it's been helpful for you to choose a good university.